The Roadster is Tesla's dead last priority. When it was unveiled, it was the hottest hotness among supercars, despite being a tad less sexy than some of the others in that category. It was due out in 2020, and you can blame the Rona or the chip shortage if you want, but that ain't it. There are 4 reasons Roadster is Tesla's dead last priority, and I'll tell you why. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. A quick thank you to my newest and upgrading Patreons, James, Shannon, and Ryan. Thank you guys for your decision to help the channel. Well, if you've seen the Roadster, you know it's a simple, understated beauty. Sure, it isn't production ready, as seen, on account of a lack of side mirrors and windshield wipers, but it generally looked awfully close to production. Well, that was so many years ago, so what's the delay? I mean, surely it's not a lack of gorgeous red paint or rubber capable of not flying apart at those ludicrous speeds, but it's something, right? Well, there's a few reasons, 4 specifically, so let's go through them. Counting down from number 4, they overpromised. The specs were fantastic, but users on Twitter immediately pushed Elon to promise increasingly more, like cold gas thrusters, and, somehow those made it into the design, at least aspirationally. These are all great ideas, but what we really want is a car. So can we just get that already? I mean, the design was likely close to production ready, apart from the batteries, and even then they could have made it work. Design creep is a hell of a drug, and it seems to have caused at least some of the delay. We'll talk about batteries in a minute, but think about it. If they just dropped the specs a tad with a smaller form factor and used the plaid motor train, my gosh, it'd be out already. So, number 3, the batteries aren't ready. Or at least they weren't at the time. It's likely the prototype had maybe a double stack of P100 batteries or a dangerously uncorked single stack, but either way, it wasn't something they were able to produce at the time. Not at scale, and not safely, at least. I mean, they had confidence it'd be ready soon, but it seems to have been a tad optimistic. It turns out soon, in Elon time, might not be all that quickly after all. Who knew? Well, anyone who has followed Elon low these many years probably already had a pretty good guess. If what they had wanted to build was a merely amazing supercar instead of the best supercar ever, well, they could have just, put in a tri-motor configuration and a nice hot battery, the ones they already have, and just gone with that. I mean, they could still do that today, but they haven't. Again, this probably goes back to design creep. Number 2, tons and tons of you lucky jerks are due a free one. And I do mean lucky, because you had to be both an influencer and have a referral code to share. You had to already be a Tesla owner and have substantial ability to get people to use Yo code. If that program was available today, I would not be eligible, because I don't own a Tesla. Yes, I get that they're cheaper than ICE cars when you factor in, fuel and maintenance savings and resale, but I seldom spend over $2,000 a year on those things, and resale only helps when you sell it. What are you going to drive then? So for me, it's more about the 60 grand I don't have, or the 1,000 a month I couldn't manage in terms of a payment. However capable I am of convincing you to use and buy a Tesla is meaningless. Since, the program's gone, and I wouldn't be eligible anyhow, it's just a thing of the past. Well, there are some insufferables out there who are due not 1, but even 2 Roadsters. And of course, they still aren't happy. Yeah, you got 500,000 in cars waiting to be delivered to you, and you're bitter because you don't have them. Well, I mean, my sympathy is limited. I get it. I'd be annoyed too, and I'm still annoyed, but on a laughably smaller scale. Yeah, I have the luxury of being able to laugh about it. Number one, they already got yo money. If you reserved a Founders Edition, you were required to pay the entire amount up front. That's a cool $250,000 smackaroo bobs. And they accepted 1,000 reservations at that price. That's $250 million folks loaned to Tesla years ago in hopes of being the first kid on the block to own one. Well, if you put that $250,000 into Tesla stock in November of 2017, the 1,387% returns would make it worth $3.4 million today. Is that really a good deal? That sounds kind of expensive. Well, if you made it this far, please consider subscribing, smack the thummy thing in either direction, and maybe follow me on Twitter at 4K Podcast, and let me offer a Giga Texas size thank you to my Patreons at Roadster Speed, who get early access bonus content, and those at the Coolio level and above, who get a look at my 11-year production estimates in Ultra Bear, Bear, Neutral, Bull, and Ultra Bull cases. Yeah, I track it that far out. My numbers are just that good. So thank you guys all so much for your support. So what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts and wisdom and blind brilliance in them comments below, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots at the finish line.